The Nintendo 3DS is one of my favorite consoles of all time, and over the years I've amassed a pretty big physical collection of games, so today I wanted to take you all through a tour of every single Nintendo 3DS game in my collection, talking about my experience with the game, the pricing of the game, what I paid for it back in the day, and kind of just talk about 3DS collecting as a whole. Let's get into it. Alrighty then, hello there everyone, welcome to the brand new collecting channel. I wanted to sit through and talk about the Nintendo 3DS. It's been a long time since I've done a 3DS collection video on my other channel, Botox Games. I did one back in like 2022, so it's been quite a while since I did like an in-depth Nintendo 3DS collection video, so I thought now would be a good as time as any now that I'm launching this new collecting channel. So subscribe if you're new here and you want to see more collecting videos, because I have a lot of cool stuff planned, because I like collecting stuff. Now, I haven't actually counted how many games I have in my 3DS collection. If I had to guess right now, I would say probably around like 200 or so, and realistically, I've only played like 100 of them. So if you're expecting like in-depth thoughts on every single game, maybe not the video for you, but if you want some like kind of surface level thoughts on a lot of stuff and then some in-depth thoughts on other things, like a lot of the first party Nintendo stuff that I played growing up, stay tuned for that. But starting off, we have one of those games that I haven't really played. A lot of the stuff I bought during that FOMO period before the eShop closed, which I kind of regret doing, but at the same time, a lot of these games that I bought that I haven't played yet, I know I'm going to get to eventually, and I know I will enjoy them. So a great example of that being 7th Dragon 3 code VFD. This is the special edition. I do have the regular case out here as well. This is a dungeon crawler from Sega. I believe this is the 3rd or 4th game in the series. Maybe it's like an upgraded version of the 3rd game, given that it's called 7th Dragon 3. But this is a dungeon crawling series that I don't believe any of the other entries were localized in North America. I believe there was a game on DS and a game on PSP, but this is a cool one. Got one of these big cardboard, beautiful special editions, so wanted to get this back during the eShop closure crisis. This is actually a pretty recent addition to the collection. Adventure Time: The Secrets of the Nameless Kingdom. I don't know if this was the final Adventure Time game released on 3DS. This isn't the cleanest copy, as you can see. I got it off of eBay, like with most of this stuff. But this was a Adventure Time kind of action-adventure game developed by WayForward. WayForward developed a lot of the Adventure Time games and like the regular show game on 3DS, which we'll get to. But back when I was younger, I played Hey Ice King, Why'd You Steal Our Garbage, which was like the first Adventure Time game on 3DS, and I remember actually enjoying that. I still need to rebuy that and get it for the collection, but this one was like going up in price quite a bit. This was the 3rd one after Explore the Dungeon Because I Don't Know, I believe. So I wanted to get this before it, rose in price too much. There really wasn't even that many copies listed on eBay when I bought it. Like, I think I got it for like 20 bucks, but there was only maybe 3 American copies listed. Like, you could get it like maybe a European copy or a Japanese copy, but getting an ESRB release of this, at least at the time, was actually kind of hard. Here we have the amazing SpiderMan. Now, this one's kind of interesting because it has this weird slipcover. Definitely a little bit more uncommon to find this game with the slipcover. Very, very nice hollow foil. Weird, like, hole placement on this, because when you have it on your shelf, you're not putting the spine on there because it's taller when it's positioned this way, so you're still putting it on the shelf like this. But Amazing Spider-Man for the 3DS, I actually played the demo for this a lot back in the day, back when I couldn't afford to just buy random license games, and I never asked for it for Christmas or anything, but I remember playing that demo a lot on 3DS, and this is actually one I've still been interested to go back to. I know Amazing Spider-Man 2 on PS4, I'm pretty sure that's like actually a pretty expensive game. That was back when Activision had the Spider-Man license, so kind of hit or miss quality, but yeah, I remember playing the demo for this and really, really wanting it back in the day. Here we have a pair of Angry Birds games, so Angry Birds Trilogy as well as Angry Birds Star Wars, with some beautiful half-price books sticker still on there. Angry Birds on 3DS is honestly kind of like a no-brainer. I know there is also that Cut the Rope collection on 3DS. I would like to get that eventually, but I wanted to pick up both of these because Angry Birds, like, it's not some high form of entertainment, but it's just kind of fun. All right, here we have our first banger, Animal Crossing New Leaf for the Nintendo 3DS. Does anybody call it Welcome to Animal Crossing? They always put that in the logo. But this was my first true experience with Animal Crossing. I had played a little bit of Wild World growing up whenever I could sneak my my sister's DS away from her when she was at school or whatever, just messing around in her island. But New Leaf was my first true own Animal Crossing experience on my own island, my own villagers, and I adored this game. I played it for probably like 200 hours, which I guess by some Animal Crossing player standards might be kind of low, but that summer that it came out in 2013, me and my brother just every single day were playing New Leaf. and it was just a lot of fun. They had a lot of cool little like Nintendo cameos with the Majora's Mask. I thought was really cool. Later on, they added Wolf Link, and like I think Ganon, like Pig Ganon, is in the game, which is really cool. New Horizons did not capture the same spark for me that New Leaf did. I don't know if it's necessarily like a worse game or anything, but at least the time and place I was in my life at the age of 13 when New Leaf came out, that was like the perfect summer game that year for me. And then we have a game I did not play anywhere near as much, but I honestly did enjoy, I think, more than a lot of people, and that is Animal Crossing Happy Home Designer, which is basically just, you know, it is what it is. It is what it says, right? You design homes and they get rated by the Happy Home Academy or whatever it's called in the game. I enjoyed this game. It was maybe more of a gimmick with the amiibo cards than a game itself. I mean, this is more of a game than Amiibo Festival, which came out the same year. But I don't know. I feel like no one talks about this game. I know it kind of got the DLC, or it became a DLC with the Happy Home Paradise expansion for New Horizons, but I actually enjoyed this one quite a bit back when it came out. Here's one you probably don't see too often, Andro Dunos 2. This released back in 2022, I want to say. I did a video on it on the other channel, back when the 3DS hype was all happening and all that. This was one of the last released 3DS games at retail, or at least it was one of the last 3DS games to get a physical release anyway. My copy here is numbered, I believe, what, 3,500 out of 6,000. So 6,000, not that limited, really. It's not like expensive or anything. Pixel Heart did this release. They did a lot of like Wii U limited releases towards the end there as well. But this is just a pretty fun shmup. I played a little bit of it back then, and it's fine. If you like shmups, it's a shmup on 3DS. There's honestly like not that many shmups that got like a physical release on 3DS, so cool to have this. Also, I just realized I'm not great at alphabetizing stuff. Well, more so, it's a special edition, so it kind of got misplaced. But I do have the Alliance Alive here from Atlas. Now, this was just re-released on Switch through NIS America. This is the sequel to Legends of Legacy, which I actually don't think I have on 3DS yet, but I've heard mixed things about this. Just another like classic old school JRPG. I like the art style, I like this key art here. One I would definitely play on Switch at this point if I were to go back and play it, but I don't know. There's a lot of Atlas stuff on 3DS that I know I'll like if I play, but the reality is like, will I ever actually get around to playing this? I don't know. I would like to. Are you smarter than a 5th grader? No. Here we have a Nintendo 3DS launch title with Asphalt 3D. I believe this was the ports of like a mobile game or something, like an iPhone game from like 2012, just added to the 3DS lineup back in 2011. I don't know. I mean, it's just a racing game. You can't really go that wrong with this. It's not the most in-depth thing, but for what it was, considering how not great the 3DS launch lineup was, just something to play in 2011 before we got to like Ocarina and Mario Kart 7 and 3D Land. Asphalt 3D was fine. Next up, we have one of the few limited run games that I have in my collection for 3DS. I guess I have all of them, but they didn't really do that many. But we have the Atui collection and the special edition big box, as well as the regular case here. I've talked about Atui quite a bit back in the day, of course. Back when these games actually released, they were known as Renegade Kid, and frankly, they are just a shell of their former self now. But I will not deny my love for Mutant Muds. I kind of enjoy Zeo Drift, or really just Mutant Muds. I loved Mutant Muds as a kid on the 3DS. That was one of those like big indie eShop hits for me when I really like discovered like, oh, indie games are a real thing, and I can really just buy a really cool bite-sized game for $10 on the 3DS eShop. I think even cheaper than that in some cases, right? Mutant Muds and Mutant Mud Super Challenge, really cool games, and just sad to see what that developer has become, but hey, at least I have their good games preserved on a 3DS cartridge, although I think there's like some issues with this. I've seen some posts on Twitter and like Reddit being like, yeah, I guess there's like a save glitch in one of the games, maybe? I don't know. There's something weird with this. Here we have Batman Arkham Origins Blackgate. I got this for like $10. I've never played any of the Arkham games, although I have always been very intrigued by Arkham Origins on 3DS and Vita because it's a completely different game. It's a 2D side-scrolling beat-em-up, which we don't see that anymore. We don't see a handheld version anymore that's just totally radically different from the home console version. So I've always been very intrigued by this one. I think this one came in some sort of bundle with other kids' games for really cheap, but Ben 10 Omniverse. I'm not a Ben 10 kid. I didn't watch Ben 10 growing up, but just one of those things where it was too good of a deal to pass up with some other games that I wanted, I believe, and I was just like, yeah, okay, well, I guess I'm getting Ben 10 Omniverse now on 3DS. Here we have another banger, Trip Saga. I love Bit Trip Runner. Runner 2 and Runner 3, not as much, but these original 6 Bit Trip games are just so much fun, and I'm really happy that they actually have a physical release. I think... Is there a Bit Trip collection on Switch? I don't think there is like a physical release of that. I know the games came to Switch. I believe there's a release of Bit Trip collection on PS4, I want to say. But this was like the first retail release for the Bit Trip games, I'm pretty sure. And it includes Bit Trip Beat, Bit Trip Core, Bit Trip Void, Bit Trip Runner, Fate, and Flux. Now those other games, not as high quality as Runner, obviously, not as beloved, but they're all still cool to kind of mess around with. Here we have Brain Age Concentration Training. I actually have never played this one. I enjoy Brain Age though. Like on the DS growing up, I messed around with Brain Age, and was it Brain Boost? Not a Nintendo game, but just like a weird kind of offshoot. Developers obviously trying to cash in on that Brain Age success. This one I know came out super late in Europe. I think it came out like straight up in 2017 or something. I know it was a very delayed release over there, but because of some weird laws with like brain training applications, or I don't know, there's some weird lore with this game in Europe, but happy to have this. I'll play it eventually because I like the Switch one a lot too. All right, now we're at our first game that I have not played, but like it keeps me up at night knowing I haven't played this game. I actively think about playing this game, which means I will actually play this eventually. Seventh Code 3, maybe not. Alliance Alive, maybe not. Realistically, like maybe I'll never get to those games. But Bravely Default, I will get to this game eventually. This is one of my biggest spots of shame, I would say, for 3DS, is the Bravely series. So not only do I have Bravely Default, I also have Bravely Second's Inlayer, and this is the special edition. It's actually still sealed. I got this for, I think, like $60 back during that 3DS FOMO hype era back in 2022 when they announced the eShop closure. So I need to play these games. I know... Same thing with like Octopath, right? I have never played Octopath. I played that demo they released. Team Asano is a team that I know will deeply resonate with me. I just haven't gotten around to playing these games. I liked Live Alive. I liked what I played of the demo for Bravely Default 2, so I will get to both of these eventually. Like this is, I would say, pretty high priority for me when it comes to RPGs. I want to get through a couple more Dragon Quest games, get my blind spot with that kind of covered a little bit. I recently picked up, spoiler alert for a future pickups video, recently picked up Chrono Trigger, but I would say Bravely Default pretty high on my list of RPGs I need to play soon. Here we have a very late Nintendo 3DS release, Captain Toad Treasure Tracker. This is actually a pretty good version of this game because obviously Captain Toad has all these like really small like dioramas, and having it be in 3D just makes a lot of sense. Has all the Odyssey levels from the Switch version. It's not like the definitive version, I would say. I guess in terms of control, it kind of is, because it has the touchscreen and it has the Odyssey levels, but like the Wii U version and the Switch version obviously look a lot better. But if you like 3D a lot, then hey, this is a pretty good option. I don't know. Very weird to see them bring this over. Even supports the Mario Odyssey Wedding Amiibo, which is just like weird to see on the back of a 3DS game. But yeah, I don't know. In terms of like Wii U ports to 3DS, this is probably one of the better ones. Cartoon Network Battle Crashers. There's that beautiful Game Mill logo. I think this honestly might have come in that same bundle with Benton Omniverse. Another one that I definitely want to get to eventually, however, my experience with this franchise is spotty at best, and I want to play through some of the more beloved games first before giving this one a shot. However, this is from the developer of Metroid Dread, which I love, so even though I know this game didn't review that well, I do want to get to it eventually, and that is Castlevania Lords of Shadow Mirror of Fate. I believe this one was just straight a 3DS exclusive. It might have gotten an HD console version like later or something, but it was developed by Mercury Steam, the people that are kind of in charge of 2D Metroid now, and I know it didn't review well, but like I want to get to it eventually. However, like I said, my Castlevania experience, I honestly, one of the bigger gaming franchises, I just like I've never played Symphony of the Night. I need to fix that before I play Lords of Shadow. I gotta understand the plot. Here's a weird one for you. Codename Steam from Intelligent Systems, of course, the Fire Emblem developers. In fact, you can actually have Marth and Ike in the game. Also, Abraham Lincoln. Very weird new IP for Nintendo to try out back in 2015. I mean, I wish they would give their teams more, chances to do stuff like this. It doesn't work out, I guess, when they do it, though, because this game surely bombed. I remember GameStop was doing a pre-order bonus where if you pre-ordered the game, you would get like a Majora's Mask pin for some reason, just to try to move stock of Codename Steam. And I don't think it worked. Here's another Atlas published game that has come to Switch under another publisher. A little 2D side-scrolling action here. Code of Princess. I was always intrigued by this one. And of course, I have the big box version that comes with a CD. For Atlas stuff, if you've noticed so far with the 2 Atlas games, I have tried to get all of the stupid cardboard, because stupid Nintendo cardboard collector brain go burr. They're not like that much more expensive, maybe $10, $20 max, but they look kind of nice on a shelf, and it's like a weird flex to have the cardboard version, even though usually these sides end up getting a little bit crushed at the end of the day. Here we have a pair of Cooking Mama games, Cooking Mama 4 Cooking Magic or Kitchen Magic, as well as Cooking Mama 5 Bon Appetit. There is another one, I think it's called Sweet Shop, I want to say. This one was pretty pricey, not that one. This one was pretty pricey back a couple years ago. I'm not sure if it still is. I think I got it for like 30 bucks. Cooking Mama's fun. It's just cooking mini games, man. I mean, it's nothing that in-depth, but it's fine. Another one of those Atlas cardboard games, Conception 2, Children of the Seven Stars. Alongside what is secretly one of the most iconic Nintendo 3DS games, Cubic Ninja. For those unaware, this was the game that allowed you to hack your 3DS back in those early years with the console before more exploits were found. It used Cubic Ninja. This was just some random game Ubisoft published, and I actually bought it. For a while there, it was really, really expensive, and I was like, what the heck's going on? Because I bought this game when there was nothing to play in 2011. It's just a stupid little game where you rotate the 3DS to get a little ninja through a hole, and that's it. It's not very good, but it secretly became like one of the most iconic Nintendo 3DS games because of its usefulness when it comes to hacking your 3DS back in the day. Another special edition that I definitely need to crack the seal on because I do want to try this out. Maybe not as interested as like Bravely Default or something, but I know Nintendo, I'm pretty sure they own this IP. Their name's on the box. But Cep Revolt, this is the special edition from that. NIS America published it in North America. But Cep Revolt, weirdly like Nintendo tied series. I think they own it. I know there was like a Cep Revolt Direct in Japan. Like that's how important this game kind of is. Very weird series, but I'm glad it got localized. Like, this is one of those games you could definitely see Nintendo and NIS America just, like, not worrying about back then. So, cool to see it actually get localized with this cool special edition anniversary box set for the 3DS game. Dead or Alive Dimensions. I actually played this one quite a bit back in 2011 or 2012. I'm not actually sure when this one came out. 2011. Yeah, I think it was like holiday 2011. One of the first, I mean, Street Fighter 4 obviously, but like one of the first true fighting games on the platform. I'm not great at fighting games or anything, but I had fun with this. I think this was actually my first Dead or Alive game, and in fact, it might be my only Dead or Alive game now that I think about it. So kind of my gateway into learning about a lot of these characters on 3DS, which was pretty cool. Here's one I've tried to play a couple times, and every time I play it, I'm just so bored. In fact, is this empty? Okay, no, my cartridge is in here. This is Detective Pikachu. Every time I start up this game, I am just bored out of my mind. I know I'm not the target audience, but I love Pokemon. And it's like, man, I want to be able to play Detective Pikachu Returns and experience the story and like enjoy it. But every time I play it, I'm just like, man, this truly is a kid's game. So I don't know. Maybe I'll push myself through it eventually. But it's also like kind of long for what it is. Like I think it's like straight up 20 hours. I don't know. I don't know if I'm trying to subject myself to 20 hours of this game. Here we have our first Art Academy game, Disney Art Academy. I think I got this because it was like $8 free shipping, and also, most importantly, Nintendo published it for some reason. I say for some reason, it's because it's Art Academy, and Nintendo owns Art Academy. But yeah, Art Academy, Disney, Elsa, Woody, Cars. Here's a couple more of those random kids games I was talking about, Disney Big Hero 6 and Wreck-It Ralph. I sort these by D when I'm putting them on the shelf, so that's why we're already at both of these together. Fun fact about Big Hero 6 on the DS, this was the final DS game released at retail, at least in America, I'm pretty sure. So just a little DS fun fact for you. On 3DS, it has no legacy. This one's coming to Switch soon. Donkey Kong Country Returns 3D. This was my first time playing a Donkey Kong Country game, actually, now that I think about it, because I never played the SNES ones up to this point, and this one came out, I think, in 2013, so that was like the best year of 3DS, man. There were so many good games coming out on 3DS in 2013, but Country Returns, I'm excited to replay it on Switch. I remember liking it more than Tropical Freeze, and I think that's like the most blasphemous take you could ever ask or you could ever hear from a Nintendo fan, but I think that's true, at least in my head. I'll be curious to see if that holds up, but this was a pretty cool new version. Of course, it had that 9th extra world, didn't have the weird Wiimote motion controls where you have the ground pound and stuff, so more button-based controls for this one was nice. Here we have a pair of Dragon Ball games. As you all know, I'm a huge Dragon Ball fan. Dragon Ball Fusions and Dragon Ball Extreme Butoden. Fusion's another one of those games that like I've always heard, like Dragon Ball fans that are like really deep in the weeds of Dragon Ball gaming say that Dragon Ball Fusions is like really good. And I've started it a couple times, and every time I start it, I'm like, I don't know. I think I just need to like give it a little bit more time to cook and really set up and all the fusions start happening. Because I know like as a kid, like, oh, what if these characters fuse? Like little fusion fanfic. Like that was like my dream as a kid. Just like, oh, what if Hercule fused with, I don't know, Vegeta, that kind of thing. And that's what that whole game is based on. So I need to try out that eventually, as well as Dragon Ball Z Extreme Butoden, which at the time was a pretty big deal because we hadn't had a traditional 2D Dragon Ball Fighter for a very long time. Now, a couple years after this release, we got Dragon Ball FighterZ, which is way better in every way, but this more follows in line with the Shin Butoden series, I believe it's called, on SNES. So this was cool. Also made by Arc System Works. So this was kind of like a precursor to us getting Dragon Ball FighterZ a few years later. So definitely one to look out for. Keeping with that Dragon theme and Toriyama theme, that connection right there, we have Dragon Quest VII, Fragments of the Forgotten Past, as well as Dragon Quest VIII, Journey of the Cursed King. I have not played either of these games. If you follow my other channel, you know, though, I just got into Dragon Quest this year, like finally played through Dragon Quest XI, and I really, really enjoyed it. So I need to get to these soon. Obviously, these are very long games. I know 8. People keep telling me 8 should be next on my list. I don't think I'm going to do that. The next one I play will realistically be Dragon Quest III, because that's getting remade this year. And then from there, I think I'm going to play 4, 5, and 6. Just in order, back to back, get through those games. 5 is the other one that everybody recommends, and I really think I'll like that game a lot based on what I've heard. So I'm gonna take my time. I will get to these, but I'm gonna take my time with this series. Dream Trigger 3D, this was a launch game. I don't know. It's just a weird... It's Dream Trigger, man. Duck Dynasty got a 3DS game. Can you believe that? Which actually, now that I'm looking at the back of the box, is this like straight up low-key like an Animal Crossing game? Is this an Animal Crossing game? That's crazy if it is, because it kind of looks like it. FIFA Soccer 12, as well as our only Madden game on the 3DS, Madden NFL Football. This was a launch title. At some point, I want to do a video like reviewing every single launch title for 3DS, which is why I bought this. Weirdly, like not super cheap. Like on other consoles, sports games get very, very cheap very quickly. Whenever it's like a weird one like this, it low-key stays like in that $20 to $30 range. So keep an eye out for this, I guess, if you see it at a yard sale or something. Here's one that definitely hasn't gotten the appreciation it deserves. Ever Oasis. I would love for Nintendo to bring this game to the Switch or Switch 2 and give it another shot, because I feel like if this game released in 2019 on the Switch, it would be a completely different story. This was made by Grezzo, the developers of Majora's Mask 3D, Ocarina of Time 3D. Of course, right now they're doing Echoes of Wisdom. I would love to see this come to another Nintendo platform and get a second chance. And now it's time for an Atlas lightning round, because I have all of these games, or actually I'm missing one of them, I believe, and I have not played any of them to any real extent. I've played a little bit of 4, but let's just go through these real quick. All of these have the cardboard, all of these have the CD. Etrian Odyssey Untold, The Millennium Girl. Etrian Odyssey 2 Untold, The Fafnir Knight. Etrian Odyssey 4, Legends of the Titan. This is the one I've played a little bit of. Etrian Odyssey 5, Beyond the Myth. And finally, Etrian Mystery Dungeon. So I think the only one I'm missing there is Etrian Odyssey Nexus. That one, unfortunately, like this is so annoying to me, collector brain stuff. These all look so nice on a shelf. I'm pretty sure Etrian Odyssey Nexus is like one of the bigger special editions. I don't know why they did that. That annoys me. But yeah, that's definitely a series I want to, dive deeper into one day. I have the collection on Switch. I don't know if I would play that or Untold. I'd probably still just play Untold on 3DS. But it's cool they brought them to Switch as well. Etrian Odyssey is a very daunting series, though, just because there's so many of them. I mean, they've released, what, 6 on 3DS? That's crazy. Here we have Fantasy Life. This is one I have been told many, many times to play through. And here's the thing with Fantasy Life. I played a little bit of it, and I enjoyed it, but I think I missed the boat. I think this is a game I needed to play when it was the active current Fantasy Life game, when the 3DS was still relevant. I'm very excited for The Girl Who Steals Time coming out on Nintendo Switch later this year, but I've tried to go back to Fantasy Life, and I feel like with how online focused that game is, playing with friends, going back to it just isn't really the same. Like if I'd have been playing it when I was on like 3DS forums back in 2014, that would have been peak, but since I missed that, I think I'm just gonna wait for this new one to come out. Next up is Final Fantasy Explorers. This is Square Enix's take on a Monster Hunter style game, I believe. Very interested in this one. I kind of missed the boat with it though, because obviously very online focused. You can play it locally, but realistically, when will I find a group of people that want to play this knockoff Monster Hunter clone that frankly I haven't heard very good things about? It's something I would like to check out eventually, and I mean, it does, you can play it alone, but yeah, I would want to find people to play this with for sure. And now we get to the stretch of what I would consider to be some of the best Nintendo 3DS games, starting off with Fire Emblem Awakening. So yes, I am a Fire Emblem Gen Z, or what would you call me? I'm a baby Fire Emblem fan that started with Awakening. I've never gone back and played the old ones. I still need to do that. It's on my laundry list of games to play, all of them. But yeah, Awakening was my first Fire Emblem, and I love this game. The characters, the music, the gameplay. This was my first real, like, strategy RPG, honestly. Like, I had played turn-based RPGs growing up, but I had never really played anything quite like this because, I mean, frankly, in terms of, like, more mainstream stuff, I feel like Awakening was one of the first, like, major strategy RPGs that came out and really hit in the West. Yeah, there's always stuff like Disgaea and Tactics Ogre, but Fire Emblem Awakening was a very special game that hit at the perfect time. I remember playing it and honestly being kind of confused when I was 12, because that game came out when I was 12. That's crazy, because it came out in early 2013, but eventually I powered through it, and I really came to love Fire Emblem, and that continued, of course, with the rest of the games on 3DS. So first off here, I do have the Fire Emblem Fates Conquest version. Of course, Fire Emblem Fates being the game that they Pokemoned up and separated into 3 versions. So this is my standard copy of Conquest. Don't have a physical release for Birthright. However, I do have something even better, and this is one of my most expensive 3DS games. This is a Fire Emblem Fates Birthright and Conquest on one cartridge. That's right, I have the Fire Emblem Fates Special Edition here. One of the most coveted items, I would say, on 3DS if you are a 3DS collector, because if you don't know, well, obviously, like I just said, they did multiple versions. One of the versions was digital only, and the only way to get that version on a 3DS cartridge is by buying this Special Edition. One of the most anti-consumer things Nintendo's honestly probably ever done, because this thing sold out instantly. I remember trying to pre-order it at my GameStop when I was, 15, 16 years old, and it sold out instantly, and you just could not get it. They didn't reprint it, and I mean, I had to pay a pretty penny for this. I think I paid like $300 for it back in 2022, but hey, I'm a huge Fire Emblem fan, and I wanted to have this in the collection. Fire Emblem Fates is probably the worst modern Fire Emblem. In terms of story, the characters are okay, but I think the gameplay in Fates is really good. I haven't played it in a long time, so I need to see how the maps hold up and everything, but I remember thinking, like, wow, Fates gameplay is even better than Awakening. I remember thinking that. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that still remains true, but I remember thinking that Fates gameplay was, like, really good. So it at least has that going for it. And then finally, for Fire Emblem, we have my favorite Nintendo 3DS game, and honestly, one of what I would consider to be Nintendo's best games they've put out probably in the past decade, and that is Fire Emblem Echoes Shadows of Valentia. This is my favorite Fire Emblem game, favorite 3DS game. Of course, here's the special edition, as well as the standard copy right here. I think Fire Emblem Echoes is the best marriage of everything that makes Fire Emblem good. It has really great characters, really great voice acting, really great gameplay. I know the maps are a little bit like archaic and designed a little crowded at times, but I really enjoyed it. The story in this game, the music in this game, the dungeon crawling sections. I think Fire Emblem Echoes is a fantastic game. Definitely my favorite Fire Emblem game, above Engage, above Three Houses, above Awakening even. So yeah, definitely recommend that if you haven't played it. It was a late 3DS release, so I know a lot of people did miss it. However, it is also, I believe, the only 3DS game that released after the Nintendo Switch that managed to sell 1 million copies, which is kind of crazy for a Fire Emblem game, considering there were so many Mario games that came out after the Switch. All right, next up we have what a lot of people would consider a scam. I did videos on this on the old channel quite a bit back in the day. We have Fragrant Story. So this was a game that released in 2022, and the story behind this, the developer, William Kage, basically was running out of time to get this game through 3DS certification, so he basically shipped a demo on a cartridge, and people were really upset about that, being like, oh, why did I pay $40 for this demo, essentially. However, he did make good on his promise, and later released like a big free massive update that essentially makes it a full game, once again, kind of a similar Fire Emblem strategy game, and I don't know. People were trying to like get on me for being like, oh, why are you promoting the scam? We knew the game was like $2 on the eShop at the time. I don't really see how it's a scam when, at the end of the day, it's not like he didn't send out any orders, right? Like, you all got a 3DS cartridge. I don't know. I feel like the word scam there was being thrown around quite a bit for reasons it didn't really need to be thrown around. The game might not be very good or whatever. If that's your opinion, that's fine, but it wasn't really a scam. But alongside that, I do have the Fragrant Story Collector's Edition here, obviously, with that kind of Final Fantasy Tactics A2 inspired box art, as well as this. He shipped these out for like $4. I accidentally ripped mine, but it's a code in the box for the game. Just a weird, I don't know. It's just cardboard, man. Here's a weird one Nintendo published, Freaky Forms Deluxe, Your Creations Alive. So this is kind of similar to Snipper Clips, where it was an eShop only release back in 2011, I want to say, but then a year later they released it physically with more content, I guess. I played this game back in the day. I played this when I was a youngin' on the 3DS, and it's not very good. You just kind of make monsters out of shapes and then run around a level collecting little food bits or something. Of course, when I was younger, I was just making shapes I probably shouldn't have been making as a child. But yeah, no, this game's not for me. It is going up in price though. If you can find this for under like 40 bucks, I would say buy it, because I've seen it going as high as like 90 now. Because I mean, it's just a weird thing that Nintendo published, and some people just go for Nintendo sets like me, so they have to own it, right? Here we have Gardening Mama 2, Forest Friends. This is similar to Cookie Mama 5 in that it was getting pricey there for a little bit. I'm not sure if it's still valuable at all. Here we have a pair of Harvest Moon games, Harvest Moon, The Tale of Two Towns, as well as the Lost Valley. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. I believe this is where the split happened with Harvest Moon, where the original developers of the series split off, and then they went to Marvelous and they started publishing Story of Seasons. That's the true Harvest Moon series now. I believe this was the first game not by that team. I might be wrong. Maybe this one was still that team. But Tale of Two Towns, I actually have played this game, and this was the last Harvest Moon game that I really got into. I don't know what it is, but as an adult, it's kind of hard for me to just like sink time into farming games. But Harvest Moon 3D of The Tale of Two Towns, I really enjoy this game, traveling between the towns, having the whole like two town aspect where you're trying to keep the relationship good between both cities. I don't know. Growing up, I love Magical Melody, and I believe it's Island of Happiness on DS, and that was the final one I really played, The Tale of Two Towns. So I would like to like sink into another Harvest Moon game eventually, but I don't know. Like, I've loaded up Stardew Valley, and it's just like, I don't know if I have time for this anymore, man. Here's a random one I picked up, Hatsune Miku Project Mirai DX. I ain't no idol fan or whatever. VR, I don't know, what do they call them, like VR idols? I have no idea, honestly. I'm so out of my depth when it comes to this, but I have heard it's actually a pretty good rhythm game, and it does come with some AR cards, I believe. Yeah, it has a little pack of Hatsune Miku AR cards. I'm dropping it. It's kind of weird, but neat. Here we have a pretty gross copy of Hello Kitty Picnic. As you can see, this thing is, yeah, I bought this off eBay, not realizing the condition, as with some other games in this video. Here's one I've never seen anybody talk about, but I actually really enjoyed back in the day. Heroes of Ruin from Square Enix. This is just Diablo. This is just a Diablo-style game, and it was honestly my first time playing a game quite like this. But what was cool about this back in 2012 was that it had full online co-op, like drop in, drop out. You could run into randoms. It even had voice chat, which was crazy on the 3DS at the time. So if you want like a little sleeper hidden gem there, maybe not hidden gem, it's like maybe a 6 or 7 out of 10, but if you want like a weird 3DS game that I swear I've never seen anybody talk about, Heroes of Ruin's worth checking out. Here's another one of those games that came out after the Switch on 3DS. Hey Pikmin, here. So this was, I don't know, man. I don't really like this game. I've seen people trying to defend it, and maybe I just need to go back and try it again. But when I played that, I remember just thinking it's poorly designed, like just kind of frustrating level design. Not hard by any means, but it's just like not fun to play. A 2D Pikmin puzzle game. Like I said, maybe I need to go back and play it, but I remember really not liking it when I did play it back in 2017. Here we have James Noir's Hollywood Crimes. Ubisoft was just publishing anything back in the day, man. Of course, here's Hyrule Warriors Legends. Was always crazy to me that this game even came to 3DS and was somewhat capable of running on the hardware. This is a pretty important Warriors game, though, because this, I believe, at least in terms of Nintendo Warriors, was the first Warriors game to allow character switching, which is a staple of Warriors games. Now, honestly, I cannot even imagine going back to a Warriors game where you can't switch between characters on the map on the fly. Like, I can't even imagine going back and having to play a Warriors game where you have to select your character before the map starts and you are locked into that character. Being able to switch between characters in Legends, and then, of course, Definitive Edition on Switch, all the Fire Emblem Warriors games, One Piece Warriors, Pirate Warriors 4, like, not having character switching in the old games is crazy to me to even think about. Don't recommend playing Hyrule Warriors on 3DS, though. If you can get it on Switch, get it on Switch. Almost forgot to show these because they were separated, because they are bigger box games. But first up, we have Chibi Robo Ziplash in the Amiibo bundle. This game, I feel like it's mid. It's not a great game or anything. However, I feel like people have more disdain for Ziplash than it really deserves. Can you blame Skip, who just announced that they're doing a revival of Chibi Robo on Kickstarter through a new, Co-Robo, I think it's called. Can you really blame them for wanting to try something new when no one bought the other games? Can you really blame them for wanting to appeal to Nintendo's core audience by making a mediocre platformer when that's all Nintendo fans were buying at the time? I'm just saying, given the circumstances, I can't blame them for greenlighting this 2D platformer Chibi Robo game. And frankly, I don't think it's that bad. I think it's like maybe a 6 out of 10, but like it's fun enough. It isn't what the series needed, but also just another Chibi Robo game clearly wasn't what the series needed either. Then we have another limited run games game here, Go-Go Coca-Polo Anniversary Collection Collector's Edition. I believe, is one of these a DSiWare game? I think it low-key might be, but these are developed by Tanuki, very late release from the 3DS. I bought the special edition, so this one is pretty cool to have. And then another weird one here that I bought because it is so weird, the Hot Wheels World's Best Driver Hot Wheels Car Included Edition. So if you are a crazy 3DS variant collector, good luck with this, because there are a bunch of like cars that were randomized, I guess, in like a batch that you can get in this big box version. Mine's a little crushed. Hot Wheels game's actually pretty fun. I'm not sure how this one is, but I know the Hot Wheels game on PS4, I think it's called Hot Wheels Unleashed. That game's like actually really good. And it's Hot Wheels. I mean, I'm sure it's like nothing special, but I wanted to pick up this because I think this is really funny that it just comes with the car. And here we have another one of my personal favorite Nintendo 3DS games, Imagine Fashion Life, another banger from Ubisoft here. No 3DS collection is complete without it. And then, yeah, it might be kind of hard to follow up what is one of the best 3DS games with Imagine Fashion Life, but we do have the big box version of Kris Uprising here. Jokes aside, Kris Uprising is one of the best 3DS games. If someone told me, like, yeah, this is their favorite 3DS game, I would not scoff at that. I would be like, oh yeah, that makes sense, because Kris Uprising is an absolute banger. I was really happy to go back and play it and try out the online multiplayer again before the server shut down. I did a stream on the other channel, and it was just so much fun going back to this game, even though the controls are not great, especially as someone who is left-handed. Nintendo needs to bring this to a modern platform. It's been, you know, a decade since I played the story mode, so I'm not too sure how that holds up, but I remember really loving that. And like I said, even just that taste of multiplayer I got earlier this year, the game's really good. I really, truly hope, genuinely hope that Nintendo brings this either franchise back with a new entry, or even just bringing this game to the Switch or Switch 2 with better controls. I would love that. Please, Nintendo. All right, next up we have a trio of Kirby games. I am missing Extra Epic Yarn. That one's kind of pricey. It was also the final 3DS game that Nintendo released in the world ever, so fun fact there for you. But we have Kirby Triple Deluxe. This one I feel like gets a kind of a bad rap here. I think this one's a little underrated, as well as, of course, the one everybody loves, Kirby Planet Robobot, and then the spinoff of the Butch Kirby Battle Royale. Planet Robobot and Triple Deluxe, I feel like, are closer than people give them credit for, or at least give Triple Deluxe credit for. Planet Robobot is the best 2D Kirby game. Like, it is. However, I think Triple Deluxe and Return to Dreamland Deluxe, like, I think all three of those games are a lot closer than people like to pretend, because they're all, like, really, really good. The modern 2D Kirby games, you know, barring Star Allies, are all just fantastic games. Next up, we have 4 Legend of Zelda games, starting off with my original childhood copy, which is why it's kind of damaged. Ocarina of Time, as you can see there, I decided to just put a hole in this game. I love Ocarina of Time. I haven't played it since, you know, probably back then, honestly, but I grew up playing it on the N64. This 3DS version was the first time I ever beat it. I remember I was like walking around with my older siblings and their high school friends in town, just playing my 3DS while walking, and I remember beating Ganondorf on the car ride home. Weird memory, but yeah, Ocarina of Time is fantastic, as well as Majora's Mask 3D. This one took me a lot longer to play. In fact, I only played it as recently as like 2021, I want to say, so pretty recent in my mind. And I remember, you know, being scared of like, oh, I don't want to play this game because it has this annoying time mechanic, and I hate games that have like a time limit, like Dead Rising and stuff. And then I played it and I was like, oh, the time limit doesn't matter at all, like actually at all. And I played it and I was like, wow, this is a really good game. I don't know if I can say it's better than Ocarina of Time, considering how much nostalgia I have for Ocarina of Time, but give it 10 years, give it a couple more playthroughs. Majora's Mask it's really good. But the really good Zelda games don't stop there, because here we have A Link Between Worlds, one of the best 2D Zelda games. Once again, it's been a long time since I played this, but I remember playing it and just being like, wow, this is probably the best 2D Zelda game. So even though the other two were remakes, 3DS was very good to Zelda, in my opinion. And then finally, a game that I find to be quite underrated, and the 3DS Zelda game I've played the most recently, The Legend of Zelda Triforce Heroes. Yeah, it's a multiplayer Zelda game. It doesn't have the greatest story, and some of the localization's weird, but I think this game is just a lot of fun. If you have 2 friends to play it with, you can troll each other, you know, throw each other off the map, but also when it comes down to time to do business, you can actually get stuff done. So I think this game's a lot of fun. Next up, we have a block of LEGO games. I did not realize I had so many on 3DS. One of them I have played being LEGO City Undercover: The Chase Begins. This was actually the only way I played this game. They marketed it so heavily for the Wii U, but I only ever played this prequel on 3DS with, of course, Chase McCain and Rex something. I can't remember the bad guy's name. LEGO GTA on 3DS. Pretty fun. I don't know if it would really hold up as an adult, but as a kid, I thought this game was a blast. And then just kind of speed running these other ones because I don't have much to say on them. I would like to play these eventually just because, like, these aren't the original console versions. Like, these are just separate games. So we have the LEGO Movie, the video game, LEGO Marvel Superheroes Universe in Peril. Like, this is what I'm talking about. There's no way this is the same thing as the game that's on PS4, right? So we have that. Then we have LEGO Ninjago Nindroids, as well as LEGO Star Wars, the Clone Wars Episode 3, or whatever, with the little $3 Goodwill sticker. That's where I bought this game. Here's an odd one, LBX, Little Battlers Experience. This is a mech game from Level 5 that Nintendo did publish. I haven't heard too many people talk about this game, but I recently just had to play through Megaton Musashi Wired on Nintendo Switch. That's another mech game from Level 5, and I did a review of that over on the other channel, and I quite enjoyed it. So LBX is something I would like to go back and give a shot just to kind of see what maybe a more like chibi-fied mech game from Level 5 on the 3DS would look like. Then, of course, we have a pair of Luigi's Mansion games for the 3DS, the remake of the original, as well as Dark Moon. If you don't know me, Luigi's Mansion 1 is my favorite game of all time, or at least it's like my nostalgia pick, right? Like, I don't know if it's, I think, like, the best game ever made, but I love Luigi's Mansion 1, and the 3DS remake is pretty good. I mean, I prefer playing it on GameCube. I think it looks a little bit better. The dust particles and shadows and everything look a little bit nicer. The controls are a little bit nicer with the dual analog setup, but the 3DS remake, not too bad, honestly. Like, when it was announced, I was like, oh, why are they putting on this on 3DS and not Switch? I can see the appeal of having it on 3DS. And then Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, I wanted to like more, and after playing the Switch version, I very much stand firm in my opinion that it is by far the worst of the three. Like, I don't even think it's really remotely close in terms of, like, just fun factor or well-designed factor, because it was designed for a handheld, and you're doing these levels, and EGAD's always calling you back, and it's just kind of annoying playing Dark Moon. And I was hoping that my opinion would change after playing the Switch version, but honestly, I think my opinion of Dark Moon only got worse, which really sucks. I don't want to be a Dark Moon hater, but here I am. And of course, we have Mahjong Cubed. I only have this because Atlas published it. I don't know why they did that. All right, dear viewer, we have finally made it to the Mario section of today's video. So starting off, we have quite a few Mario and Luigi games. Mario and Luigi Dream Team, Mario and Luigi Paper Jam, Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga plus Bowser's Minions, and Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story plus Bowser Jr.'s Journey. I played a bit of Dream Team back in the day, but I have not played Paper Jam, and I have not tried either of those remakes. However, I did just go back and play the original version of Superstar Saga. Expect a video on that here soon, maybe it'll be up on the other channel by the time you see this. I'm not sure yet, but yeah, Mario and Luigi, definitely getting into that series more before Brothership comes out, and I'm happy to have all of them on 3DS, because at one point, those remakes were getting really pricey, and even though I played Superstar Saga, I do really want to go and experience those remakes eventually, because they're just very different art styles, and I like both of them for what they are. Here we have my most played, or second most played Nintendo 3DS game, Mario Kart 7. I adore this game. I really, really do. I think it's probably a top 3 Mario Kart for me still today, next to 8 as well as Mario Kart Wii. This game's really good. It set the foundation for what Mario Kart really became, because going from Wii to 7 was a huge difference, but then going from 7 to 8, not that different. Those games are very similar. All the other ones before that all feel pretty dang different, but 7 to 8 really, I mean, this is the foundation of what we know as modern Mario Karts. I'm curious to see if they'll reinvent the wheel, pun intended, with the next one. But yeah, Mario Kart 7, fantastic game. Has some of the best tracks in the series, in my opinion. Love that game. Here we have some Mario sports stuff. Mario Tennis Open, I played this for the first time last year. Really played it. Like, I did everything I could pretty much. And yeah, I actually really like this. It's a pretty bare bones tennis game. Like, it's not as good as Aces. But for a modern Mario sports game, I don't know, I thought it was pretty fine. And then we also have Mario Golf World Tour, which I have not played too much of. The only Mario Golf game I've put any substantial amount of time into is Super Rush on Switch, which I like that game, but it's not a good game. Like, it's a very mid game. I assume World Tour is better, and I assume Toadstool Tour is better. So hopefully the next Mario Golf isn't like Super Rush. Hopefully it's a better game with more Mario-themed golf courses. And then the final Mario sports game, Mario Sports Superstars. This is the compilation that has horse racing in it. Not very good. but I don't know. They're kind of fun to mess around with for like a weekend maybe. Then we have a trio of Mario Party games. I have not played any of these, but I would like to, just to kind of experience more of like the handheld side of this series. But we have Island Tour, as well as Star Rush, and of course, the Top 100. I remember when Top 100 was announced, and it was just so sad, because everybody wanted a Mario Party on Switch at that point. The idea of having the best mini games in a collection was just like, wow, that'd be really cool if that was on a console people want to play Mario Party on. And we kind of got that with Superstars. But I remember being at that Nintendo Direct and watching that Nintendo Direct and that announcement coming out and everybody just being like, man, what are you doing, Nintendo? Then we have a pair of Mario and Sonic games. Neither of these are very good. Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater 3D. This is still the only Metal Gear game I've really put any substantial amount of time into. I've played a little bit of Phantom Pain, but this is the one I've played the most. I never finished it. I need to go back to it eventually, but also with the remake coming out, I'll just play that instead. Metal Gear, I don't love stealth games, I gotta be honest. I love the world of Metal Gear. I love Kojima's twisted mind and his weird stories, but I don't like stealth games, I've realized about myself, so I don't know if I'll really ever go back to that series, I gotta be honest. Here's another one of the best 3DS games, Metroid Samus Returns. Here's the thing with this game, right? This is the special edition that comes with a little CD. This is probably the worst 2D Metroid, or at least in terms of like the remakes, if we're comparing it to Zero Mission, and then Fusion, and Super, and Dread. It's probably the worst 2D Metroid. However, still really good. Worst 2D Metroid is still a compliment, because it's still like a solid like 8.5 out of 10, because 2D Metroid is just that good. And seeing them go from Samus Returns to Dread, and seeing them take what they learned from what people didn't like of Samus Returns, and, you know, fixing it with Dread, very happy that Mercury Steam is on Metroid now, because they know what people want. They want that fast-paced 2D Metroid action, and that's what this game kind of started. So happy to have them have remade Samus Returns, because Metroid 2 on GBA, I've played that as well. Not the most fun to go back to. And then another Metroid game that I played for the very first time last year, Metroid Prime Federation Force. This game gets a bad rap, similar to a Ziplash or something, I would say, where this game is actually pretty fun. I actually quite enjoyed it, playing through with friends, going through all the missions. There's some kind of annoying mission archetypes where it's just like tower defense, or you have to like get these like little robot bug things and you have to like escort them back to your ship. There was one mission in particular, I can't remember what it was, but it was like really, really annoying trying to capture it while all the invisible pirates were wandering around trying to murk me. But Federation Force, pretty fun game. If you have 3 friends to play it with, even if you just have like 1 friend to play it with, fun game. I recommend it. Another 3DS game that I really enjoy, although I would just say play the Switch version, Miitopia. Very lighthearted RPG with Miis, and you can just have, you know, kind of like, it's like a Tomodachi Life game, but it's an RPG, so it has that Tomodachi Life Mii humor, so you can just kind of put your friends, any celebrities, whatever you want to do, into your own story. Definitely play the Switch version, though, because the Mii maker in that game is insane. There's a ton of, like, import options, so you can, like, import QR codes from other people, and people have made some insane Miis of, like, I don't know, like SpongeBob or something, or like Hank Hill, like just like really high quality versions. It reminds me of the Emblem editor in like the old school Call of Duty games, where some people were just insanely talented and can make it actually look like the thing they were trying to make it look like. It doesn't look like a Mii anymore with the new Mii maker on Switch and the Switch version of that game. So recommend it if you want like a kind of just a fun, lighthearted game to play. It's very long though, so maybe don't force yourself all the way through. It's like 20 or 30 hours for some reason, which it does not need to be that long. Here we have Moco Moko Friends. This is kind of like a Pokemon Mystery Dungeon type game, if I recall correctly. I played a little bit of it. I did a video on it back in the day. I think it's more like standard turn-based combat, but like the dungeons you go through are more like a Mystery Dungeon game. It's fine, cutesy, kawaii, little anime game. I don't know. I liked what I played of it, honestly. Here we have a trio of Monster Hunter games. I am missing 3 Ultimate, which is actually the one I've played. I've put time into 3 Ultimate on 3DS as a kid, and I don't have that one. So 4 Ultimate, never played it. Generations, played it on Switch, very fun game. And then Monster Hunter Stories, that remake just came out, or that remaster just came out on Switch. So I was waiting to play this because I knew they would bring it over to Switch eventually because it had an HD iOS version. I was looking at that, I was like, well, I'm not going to play this on 3DS. You have an HD version. I know you're going to put that on Switch and PS4 and all that. And they did. I just had to wait like 7 years. So excited to play this eventually, but I will play it on Switch. Another just random kids game, Moshi Monsters, Moshling's Theme Park. 10 out of 10. Another one of the few anime games that made it their way to the 3DS, Naruto Powerful Shippuden. No, I'm not pronouncing that. That is what it says on the spine, Naruto Powerful Shippuden. There are a few things in this world that I like more than Dragon Ball, and Naruto is one of them. But this game, it's not very fun. It's just like a 2D side-scrolling beat 'em up. I don't know. It's not the best. Also, weird focus on Rock Lee in this game. I know there was like a Rock Lee anime at the time, and that's why it looks like all chibi and deformed and stuff. I don't like this art style. I want more, give me more classic like Ninja Council style graphics in my Naruto 3DS games. Guys, come on. It's not too late. I mean, it's too late, but like, it's not too late. Here's another racing game. I don't think I've ever seen anybody talk about this one on 3DS. Need for Speed The Run. I haven't played it, but honestly, I have to imagine this is probably one of the better racing games on 3DS, right? It's Need for Speed. Whereas Asphalt 3D, it was like a mobile version. Ridge Racer, which we haven't gotten to. That's Ridge Racer. It's Ridge Racer, right? Like that's you know, remember that one?
It's Ridge Racer. Ridge Racer. Remember that one?
But I don't know. I imagine Need for Speed The Run is probably pretty good, honestly, on 3DS. If you played it, let me know. Another game that, honestly, I feel like gets a little bit too much hate, honestly, New Super Mario Bros. 2. I'm going to replay it soon for a video, I think, but I don't know. I think this game's pretty fun. New Super Mario Bros. Oversaturation was very real in that time period, right? Because we got that and New Soup U in the same year. Then we got New Soup Luigi U like 6 months later. So very much a case of too many games releasing in a short time frame, but I don't think that means the game's bad. Like, people say like, oh, New Super Mario Bros. 2 is bad. That's not a bad game. It just came out at a very, very bad time. Same with the Wii U game. Some more random kids licensed stuff. We have SpongeBob Hero Pants, as well as TMNT and TMNT Danger of the Ooze, which I'm looking at, and WayForward made this one. Always intrigued by the licensed games that WayForward made, because sometimes you find a diamond in the rough, and it's actually a good game. I don't know if this is a good game, but sometimes. All right, here's something really stupid I did. I bought all 3 versions of Nintendogs on 3DS. So we have the French Bulldog version, the Golden Retriever version, as well as Toy Poodle Nintendogs plus cats. I'm going for every Nintendo published game, and I wanted to have those variants there. I'm dumb. Here we have a sealed copy of Paddington Adventures in London. I've never even seen this movie, I gotta be honest. And here we are with yet another game that I think gets kind of a bad rap, and that is Paper Mario Sticker Star. Listen, is it the worst Paper Mario game? Probably. I would need to replay it, because honestly, after playing Origami King, I'm not so sure, because that game sucks. But I don't know, as a kid playing Sticker Star back in 2012, I thought it was pretty good for a handheld Paper Mario game. I think now maybe a lot of the criticism comes from like divorcing ourselves from the realization that it was a 3DS game. And I guess maybe at the time, I gave games maybe a little bit more of a pass because they were 3DS games. Because at the time, the handheld version of a game or like a series was always inferior. Like almost always, if there was a home console game and then that game or that series had a handheld version, the handheld version was pretty much always lesser. So when we were getting stuff like Sticker Star and 3D Land, these games that I actually kind of really like, maybe not Sticker Star, like I said, I need to replay it. Don't clip that. I don't want to commit to that opinion. I don't know. At the time, I was more impressed by them. But now when people go back and play Sticker Star, it's not as impressive playing Sticker Star on the 3DS in 2024 or even in 2016 when people started really hating on that game. Here we have some Persona stuff. So I have the Persona Q Shadow of the Labyrinth, the Wild Cards Premium Edition. I think that I have the case somewhere else. It's not in the box right now, but I also have the copy of the game right here, as well as Persona Q2 New Cinema Labyrinth. These are Etrian Odyssey Persona skinned games, and I would like to play them eventually, but I don't know when that would be. No, but I have heard they're pretty good, and I know Persona Q2, that was like one of the last like retail 3DS releases, I think. That came out in like late 2019, I'm pretty sure. Very, very late 3DS game. Here we have a launch title for the 3DS, Pilot Wings Resort. I love them just taking the Wii Sports Resort logo and slapping it on there. This game doesn't have much juice to it, much depth, but I don't know. It's just the free island fly mode from Wii Sports Resort, and it's just a full game now. The 3DS, like I said, 2011 3DS, kind of rough, but if you didn't mind paying $40 for what were essentially just like kind of like demo-esque experiences, it wasn't the worst. But also, you should never have to do that, you know? Here's a fun one, Pinball Hall of Fame, the Williams Collection. Just a ton of pinball boards in this one. You got Pinbots and Black Knight and Space Shuttle and Gorgar and Funhouse and Taxi and Whirlwind. Cool. I like pinball stuff. And now we are at the Pokemon section of today's video. I do have every Pokemon game that has released on the Nintendo 3DS, starting off with Pokemon X and Pokemon Y. I love Generation 6. Once again, I guess, man, I just love mid-3DS games, I guess. Games that people look back on with such distaste. I actually really liked a lot of these games, but X and Y, I made a video on it last year on the other channel. I love X and Y, and a lot of that comes from the online social experience of this game. The pre-release hype cycle leading up to release, I think was... I've said this before, like, I think the most hyped I've ever been for a video game, seeing the reveal of 3D Pokemon and getting the Cora leak, seeing Mega Evolution for the first time was crazy, and then getting the game and having the online experience with PSS. The story maybe isn't the greatest thing ever. I mean, I definitely think this game needed a sequel, which we're getting now with Legends EA, so very happy about that. But yeah, I think X and Y have a lot to really, really love. Also, just a great set of Pokemon. I mean, this game brought me Goomy, and Goomy is my favorite Pokemon. So, X and Y, you're all right in my book. Then we have Pokemon Alpha Sapphire and Omega Ruby. Once again, I really like these games. I understand the frustrations with having no Battle Frontier, but I like the Delta episode more. I gotta be honest, I preferred having that epilogue story than a Battle Frontier. I got a confession time, I guess. I never really, like, love the Battle Frontier that much. It's fine. I don't know. Any Pokemon fans who made it this far into the video are going to just be like blasting me in the comments for my horrible Pokemon takes, but I love these remakes. Very good. I haven't played them since they came out, so I need to go back and go through these again, but yeah, these are I think these are better than Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald in most ways. Emerald, of course, does have the Battle Frontier, and I'm not saying the Battle Frontier is like bad or anything, but this is like a whole separate video. That's like a whole separate video I should do, honestly. Then, of course, we have Pokemon Sun and Moon. This is one I had very complicated feelings on when they came out, and in time, I have grown to appreciate. I think Sun and Moon probably have the best cast of characters. I'm not going to say it has the best story, because I still think that goes to Black and White, or Black and White 2, but Sun and Moon has a really great cast of characters. I don't love the new Pokemon in general. I think there's a lot of misses in this game, like Toucannon. I'm calling out Toucannon right now. I got to do it. But Sun and Moon, Ultra Beasts are really cool. Obviously, Lusamine and Lily and Cosmo. Even Hal, which is just like annoying rival archetype that has become really prevalent in the modern Pokemon games. Even he's cool. Guzma, Gladion. Like, there's a lot of really cool characters in this game. And I don't know. I like Sun and Moon. But another hot take for you, I actually prefer Ultra Sun and Moon because of the more greater focus on Ultra Beasts. I would need to replay base Sun and Moon. I haven't done that since 2016, and I have replayed Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, but I remember playing this in 2017, a year later, and being like, wow, that was just Sun and Moon, but better. If you haven't noticed here, I do have this weird kind of crushed big box for this game. I got this for like $10. I guess it came with a keychain. I don't have the keychain, so that's just a waste of cardboard right there. But yeah, that is every mainline Pokemon game on 3DS, and I have to say, I like all of those games quite a bit. But then we get to our spin-offs, where we have Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Gates to Infinity. This is the only Mystery Dungeon game I've actually played all the way through, and I really liked it back in 2013. I tried playing the remake of Rescue Team on Switch. I'm not sure if Mystery Dungeon games are for me. I feel like maybe I really enjoyed Gates to Infinity because I was a kid. I had a lot of free time. They're kind of like really repetitive. Maybe I just need to be in the right headspace to play more of these games, because I would like to go back and play more of this one, because I actually did start it, never finished it, Super Mystery Dungeon. But I would also like to go back and play some of the DS games that people hail as the best ones. In particular, I would like to play Explorers of Sky eventually, because I know everybody says like that's like the best one. Here we have a pair of Pokemon Rumble games. So starting off, Rumble Blast, once again a mid 3DS game that I actually do quite enjoy from time to time, as well as a sealed copy of Pokemon Rumble World. This was the free-to-play game that ended up getting a physical release with all of the stuff unlocked, so you don't need to spend any money, which is pretty cool. And then the final Pokemon game here, our next Art Academy game, Pokemon Art Academy. For those that grew up in the YouTube sphere, Let's Play sphere in 2016, Game Grumps Let's Play of this game. Watching their Let's Play of that game was like my little dinner routine for many months when they started doing that. Next up, we have some Professor Layton games. So I like Professor Layton. However, after Unknown Future, they pretty much just steadily start declining, I gotta be honest. So starting off, we have Professor Layton and the Miracle Mask, Professor Layton and the Azran Legacy, which I guess actually, now that I think about it, unfair for me to say that they start going downhill. I have not played Azran Legacy, but Miracle Mask is a step down from Last Spectre, which is a step down from Unknown Future. That's basically what I was trying to say there. And then this one I've pretty much only heard negative things about, Layton's Mystery Journey, Catriel, and the Millionaire's Conspiracy. I'm sure it's not like that bad or anything, but they're just not as good as they used to be on the DS. And then finally, I need to get back to this one and finish it because I started it, got like maybe 5 hours in, was really enjoying it, but something came out and I got sidetracked. Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. Really fun from what I was playing. I need to get back to this one for sure. Here's one I've always been really curious about, Puzzle Dragons Z plus Puzzle and Dragons Super Mario Bros. Edition. Really weird Mario spinoff that came out during the 3DS era. Has some weird like 3D models for Mario and the Goombas and stuff. I don't know, this one's always been kind of just like an oddity. Like, why did Nintendo do this? I know Puzzles and Dragons was like huge in Japan at the time. I guess that's why, but this was like really random. Here we have some more 2011 bangers. So, Rabbids Travel in Time 3D. This is a pretty mid, like a little, I think it's like an auto runner maybe. At the very least, it's a 2D platformer. I remember that much for sure. But I think it low-key might be like an auto runner. I enjoyed that as a kid. But more importantly, my game that I got with my 3DS at launch, Rayman 3D. This was my first experience with a Rayman game. For some reason at launch, I saw Rayman and I was like, yeah, that's the game I want. I read Nintendo Power back in the day, but like obviously this was before YouTube was like really a big thing. And I never even heard of Rayman. I don't think so. I don't remember like playing or seeing Rayman at like a friend's house or anything. So I'm not sure why Kid Me was like, oh yeah, Rayman, I need to get that. To be fair, there wasn't much else to get at the 3DS's launch, but Rayman 3D, pretty fun game. Almost forgot about this one, Radiant Historia, another one that I desperately need to play. This one definitely higher on the priority list than something like Etrian Odyssey or Alliance Alive. Radiant Historia I've heard very, very good things about, and I do want to get to eventually. Similar to the Adventure Time game on 3DS, regular show Mordecai and Rigby in 8-Bit Land was developed by WayForward and is actually pretty good, and low-key has like a banging soundtrack. If you have not played this game and heard the soundtrack, I definitely recommend doing so and looking up that soundtrack because it's a pretty good game. If you like regular show, I recommend it. It's not like the most crazy, like, you know, creative platformer of all time, but it's solid. We have Resident Evil Revelations. Once again, a little typo on the spine there. This is a really good game. I like Revelations a lot. I've never played Mercenaries 3D. I still need to pick up that one. I know that was just like the Mercenaries mode, but Revelations is a lot of fun. I've played it on 3DS. I've played it on Wii U. I played it on Switch. I like those games a lot. Another launch title here with Ridge Racer 3D. I actually have not tried this one out. I've played Asphalt, but I've never tried out Ridge Racer. Rodea the Sky Soldier, another one that I've been curious about. This had like a whole, not controversy I want to say, but of course, if you aren't familiar, there was the Wii version, which is like the true version of the game, but that took so long to develop that they made a separate version for 3DS and then ported the 3DS version to Wii U, and then the Wii U version came with the Wii version in the box. Very weird. So there's two versions of Rodea the Sky Soldier, basically. The Wii version and the 3DS version that got ported to Wii U. So I'd be curious to try out both of these. I've never played the Wii version either. I said Harvest Moon Tale of Two Towns was the final like farming sim I played. I guess that's not entirely true. I did play like 10 hours of Rune Factory 4 back in the day. It's fine. I enjoy it. Another Warriors game here, Samurai Warriors Chronicles. Not sure why they put Chronicles like above the title, but Samurai Warriors is pretty fun. Then we have a pair of Scribblenauts games on the 3DS here. Look how gross my copy of Scribblenauts Unlimited is. That is nasty, boy. I like Scribblenauts. I haven't played one since, I guess On Mask was the last one I played on Wii U. And I say that, and I realize as I'm saying it, like, wait a minute, there really haven't been any. I guess there's that weird party game that came out on Switch, but, yeah, Scribblenauts kind of died, didn't it? That's sad. Unlimited's a lot of fun. I liked that game a lot when I was, like 12. All right, moving on here, we have Simran Kagura Deep Crimson. This is the, is it called the Double D edition? Yeah, Double D edition of Simran Kagura on 3DS, yeah. This was re-released through Limited Run for some reason. I don't know why. I guess they must have bought like a pallet or something of these and re-released them, which is why I bought this. These developers are making that new Bleach game though, so maybe I'll play this to get ready for the Bleach game. Next up, we have what I would consider the actual final physical Nintendo 3DS game that got released, Shakedown Hawaii. I have the standard copy here from VBlank, as well as the special edition that has this cool little action figure of the CEO character in the game, and there's another copy in there. So this released back in November of 2023, I want to say, and then following that, Limited Run tried to like steal their thunder, and that's what it felt like to me anyway, by saying, well, actually, we have another 3DS game, when in reality, they didn't. So Limited Run's final 3DS game was just Shantae and the Pirate's Curse Special Edition, which was already released through Rising Star Games like years prior. So it wasn't really the final release. It was a reprint. It was the final printed 3DS game, I guess. But in terms of an actual like original release, Shakedown Hawaii, I would consider the final true 3DS game that got released. This is still pretty cool though. This is the one that like popped up on OfferUp before it was even announced. Yeah, I bought that. Another great game right here, Shovel Knight on the 3DS. I've actually never played the 3DS version, but I imagine with the stereoscopic 3D, there's some cool background effects. So I would like to check this out eventually. I know they're remaking Shovel Knight, or like re-releasing it, like Shovel of Hope, on console, and it's gonna have the 3D stuff, which is weird. I don't know why they're doing that. All right, next up we have a ton of Shin Megami Tensei games. Now, I've only played one of these. However, it's one of my favorite 3DS games, but RPGs, they're a big commitment, so I haven't gotten to playing more of them. So first up, we have the Shin Megami Tensei 4 Special Edition. This is still sealed. I got it for a really good price back in the day. When I played it originally, I bought it digitally because there was a promotion where I believe if you bought Fire Emblem Awakening and SMT4, you got like a $30 eShop credit or something like that. Very weird promotion that Nintendo did to promote this game back in the day. But I love SMT4. This is actually the only SMT game I've really played. I played like 15-20 hours of SMT5 Vengeance back in June, so I need to go back and finish that. But I love SMT4. This is a fantastic RPG, and I definitely need to get around to playing the sequel, SMT4 Apocalypse. I remember when this was announced in Japan as like SMT4 Final or something. Yeah, I really want to play this eventually, but JRPGs, they just take a lot of time to get through. Then we have Shin Megami Tensei Strange Journey Redux, Shin Megami Tensei Devil Survivor Overclocked, as well as Devil Survivor 2 Record Breaker. This is the only SMT game that got like the cardboard treatment for some reason on 3DS. I'm not sure why. Atlus's most popular franchise that got, you know, represented on 3DS. I'm not sure why these games got the shaft, really. Although, I'm speaking, and I realize I'm speaking nonsense because they also did a cardboard version of Devil Summoner Soul Hackers. But still, Overclocked 1, Strange Journey Redux, SMT4, and SMT5 didn't get, like, the standard cardboard release, which I thought was weird. This one's kind of interesting. Shinobi, this has, like, a hollow foil cover. This was a very, very early 3DS game. Here we have the Sims 3 and Sims 3 Pets. I thought these might be fun to do a video on, because I know whenever I do videos on like really casual games on Nintendo platforms like Tomodachi Life, they tend to do pretty well for me, and I feel like I get to find like a little niche doing a video on The Sims 3, specifically on 3DS. I feel like that's a fun idea. Speaking of things I've been meaning to make a video on for actually years at this point, Skylanders on 3DS. I think this would be really fun to do an in-depth review series or something of all of these Skylanders games on 3DS. So here we have Skylanders Spyro's Adventure. This is the only starter kit I own for the 3DS. I had bought Swap Force, and it never showed up, but it said delivered through FedEx, and I fought, and they refused to give me a refund, even though I never got it, so I'm a little annoyed about that. But we have the starter pack for Skylanders Spyro's Adventure, as well as just the game here, as well as just a copy of Trapped. I think I found this at Goodwill or something. But yeah, I feel like doing a video on just specifically the 3DS versions of those games would be a lot of fun, because I've never even played the console versions of Skylanders. So starting with the 3DS version might be just kind of an interesting kind of little case study of like trying this weird version of Skylanders that nobody played. I feel like I don't know anybody that played Skylanders on 3DS. Here we have Snoopy's Grand Adventure, based on the Peanuts movie. Some Sonic games I picked up relatively recently. We have Sonic Generations, as well as Sonic Boom Shattered Crystal, and Sonic Boom Fire and Ice with the little bonus CD, I believe. I've played Sonic Generations a little bit on 3DS. I actually got it for Christmas one year. I think 2012 when it came out, right? Or was it 2011? I'm not sure. Sonic Boom, Shattered Crystal, and Fire and Ice. I've never played those. I've heard people say they're good, but I don't know if that's cope. I feel like that might be cope based on how bad Rise of Lyric was. I don't believe Sonic fans when they say a game is good. I really don't. There are good Sonic games, but they're few and far between. Another Spider-Man game here, Edge of Time. I might actually cheat my rules a little bit and actually move Amazing Spider-Man to the S section just so those two can be together. But this was made by Beanox. Now there's a Call of Duty support studio. I've heard good things about this one on Wii. I'm not sure if the 3DS version's good. I bought this not realizing the copy was so dirty off of eBay, but this is Spirit Camera The Cursed Memoir. This is like an AR-based game published by Nintendo. It's a Fatal Frame spinoff. Can you believe they made a Fatal Frame spinoff for the Nintendo 3DS? And it uses like this big like witch's tome thing, and it uses AR, and it's all weird. It's a very weird game that Nintendo released pretty early on in the 3DS's life cycle. Next up, Star Fox 64 3D. I believe this actually was my first time playing a Star Fox game, so I guess that's a kind of a big deal. It's fine. I'm not like a huge fan of Star Fox. I love the characters and I like the idea of Star Fox, but actually playing the games, I think they're a little overrated. At least this one, and I mean, I guess this is the only one that's overrated. This is the only one people like, really. People seem to love Star Fox and always clamoring for a new Star Fox game. This is the only Star Fox game that Star Fox fans will say is good. Here we have Steel Diver, another weird 3DS launch title. Not a good game. Then they released that like weird free-to-play Sub Wars sequel where you could talk in Morse code online with people. I don't like this game. Here we have a pair of two Story of Seasons games, Story of Seasons as well as Trio of Towns. Once again, kind of a recent pickup, I think Black Friday last year maybe. VGP had them sealed, so these are, knock some games over. These are still sealed. Like I was saying earlier, hard to get into a farming game now with limited time. However, I would like to try these eventually. Of course, one of the best 3DS games, Super Mario 3D Land. I love this game. Honestly, I need to replay it once again, like a lot of these other things that I'm saying I really loved, but I loved them as a kid. I'm not sure if they would hold up as an adult. I remember thinking, though, that 3D Land was like almost maybe better than 3D World because it was more focused on being a handheld game with 3D graphics in mind, whereas 3D World was a sequel to it on a standard definition console, or you know what I mean, it didn't have 3D is what I'm trying to say here. So it feels a little unfocused. They had this whole multiplayer thing, so the level design just feels a little weird. There's definitely more creativity in a 3D World, but I think 3D Land might be a more focused experience. Once again, I need to replay it, because I've played 3D World, and I've played Bowser's Fury, of course, the Switch ports, since playing 3D Land. I haven't played 3D Land since I was like 12, but I remember thinking, like, man, 3D Land, kind of a more like tight experience, if that makes sense. Then, of course, we have Super Mario Maker for Nintendo 3DS. This is fine. I mean, it's kind of weird that it's missing like a ton of features. I don't think you could share levels properly, but as a portable version of Mario Maker before Mario Maker 2, I thought it was fun. I got it for Christmas that year, and I don't know, I enjoyed it. Plus, it had like 100 levels or something from Nintendo made just for it. It's fine. It was also really weird seeing the New Soup U, like, engine ported down to 3DS. Like, they didn't just use New Super Mario Bros. 2. They actually had to port U to the 3DS, which is weird to think about. Super Smash Bros. For Nintendo 3DS. This was actually the version of this game that I played most, because it came out first, to be fair, and obviously, like, that initial hype of playing a game with your friends when it's all new, that you're gonna get the most time out of it then. Wii U, very good. I played a Wii U for, you know, probably 200 hours still, but I actually played the 3DS version more. And I don't know, just something about having a Smash game on handheld for the first time was just a big novelty for me back then. And I like the little outline of the characters too, to make them all like more visible. I like this game a lot. It also has Smash Run, which is way better than Smash Tour. Super Street Fighter 4 3D Edition. This is still one of the best looking games on the system, in my opinion, next to Resident Evil. So Capcom was cooking in those like first 2 years of the 3DS, because this game alongside Resident Evil Revelations both look really good. Sushi Striker, The Way of Sushido. I like this game, however, it's way too long. You can honestly just play the demo and that's like enough. You don't need to buy the game because the gameplay never really evolves that much, which is sad. Like, I wish this was sold as an eShop game or something for like 15 bucks, but Nintendo tried to make it like this $40 or $50 game, and I just thought that was really weird because it didn't need to be that. It just needed to be like a $10, $15 eShop game that's like 4 hours long, and it would have been fun, and that's fine. But no, they try to like make it this full retail thing with like anime openings and voice acting. I don't know. I don't know why they did that. They should have just let it be a smaller budget project, and they just wouldn't do that for some reason. Tales of the Abyss. This is another one of those things where it's like, the Tales of is a blind spot for me when it comes to JRPGs. I've played a little bit of this. I played it a little bit back when it came out in 2012, and I enjoyed what I played of it, but I've never actually beaten a Tales of game. I have Tales of Arise. I think that's one I would like to get to soon. Also Tales of Symphonia, although that remaster on Switch wasn't too great from what I understand. I would like to play more Tales of games, though. I feel like we're due for a new one, aren't we? We're probably due for a new Tales of game. Maybe I'll jump in with the next new one. Tekken 3D Prime Edition. I would say this is probably the best fighting game on the platform, at least for me, as someone who doesn't like really play fighters like this. Dead or Alive Dimensions, pretty good. Super Street Fighter 4, pretty good. Tekken 3D Prime, though, first Tekken experience, and I really enjoyed it. Here we have Terraria for Nintendo 3DS. I've actually never really played Terraria. Like, I've messed around with it a little bit. I'm not sure how this 3DS version is, but I don't know. I know they're not comparable, but it's always one of those things where, like, if I'm going to play a game, like a survival game like this, I'm gonna play Minecraft or something else. I don't know, Terraria just never really spoke to me. Here we have Tetris Ultimate. This one was published by Ubisoft. I need to get Tetris Access because that one was published by Nintendo, going for the Nintendo publisher set. But Tetris Access was pretty cool. I've never tried Ultimate. Here we have the sequel to one of my favorite 3DS games. I've actually have not played the sequel, although I've played the sequel that came out on Switch. Theater Rhythm Final Fantasy Curtain Call. I don't have the first game. I never got around to playing this one because by the time that it came out in 2014, I was going to say I wasn't like super into 3DS. I don't know why I never bought this, I'm going to be honest. I just never got it. I had the first game and I really loved the first game and I put a ton of time into it, but for some reason I never picked up Curtain Call when I was younger until kind of recently, past couple of years when I bought this. I don't have my original copy of Theater Rhythm anymore, and then that new game that came out on Switch, Theater Rhythm Final Bar Line, was absolutely fire. I think that might be my favorite rhythm game of all time, but Theater Rhythm Final Fantasy, this is a fantastic series. Final Fantasy has some really great music, and actually playing Final Bar Line is what made me finally convince myself to start Final Fantasy XIV, which, now that I know the characters a little bit, it's kind of funny seeing Ishtola on the cover of a 3DS game. That's weird. Random licensed game here, Thor, God of Thunder. I have no idea what this game even is. Battle as Thor, commanding massive storm powers and wielding his legendary hammer Mjolnir, thunder across the Norse worlds to save Asgard, smashing colossal foes from the Thor universe. Features Chris Hemsworth as Thor and Tom Hiddleston as Loki. I wonder if they actually did voice work for this. There's no way, right? Here's what I've always heard is like a sleeper hit. Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Shadow Wars. This is another launch title. This is like a tactics game, I'm pretty sure, but I've always gotten comments being like, actually, that Tom Clancy game on 3DS, pretty good. So that's one I want to check out eventually. Here we have one of my personal favorites on the 3DS, Tomodachi Life. I have talked about this series to death. This is the only one I've played because it's the only one that's gotten localized. There is the game on DS as well, but Tomodachi Life, yeah, I mean, needs no introduction. Tomodachi Life is an absolute banger. Nintendo, bring it back. Come on, what are you doing? The people yearn for Tomodachi Life, Nintendo. Here we have Transformers Rise of the Darkspark, another Way Forward game. I never knew that until just now. They were doing a lot of licensed stuff on 3DS. Ultimate NES Remix, we just got that new Nintendo World Championships game, which is kind of similar. I haven't played the 3DS one, but I did play this on Wii U, or I played NES Remix 1 and 2 on Wii U. I like NES Remix a lot. I like NES games. I've been seeing this sentiment online a lot recently where it's like, Nintendo needs to move past NES games, and I kind of agree. Like, it'd be better if we got like an SNES Remix style game or even N64 Remix. I still enjoy playing NES games though. They might feel like really old to play or whatever, but like I can still load up Metroid and NES and just like enjoy myself, or Mario 1 or Mario 2 or Zelda 2. Like, I don't know. They're very archaic in design, but I still like them. And I hope Nintendo moves on from NES, but at the same time continues making NES nostalgia bait. Just do all of it, Nintendo, please. Here's one I definitely need to get to, Zero Escape Virtue's Last Reward. I don't have Zero Time Dilemma. I've played 999 on DS though, and I loved that game when I was a kid. I played that probably when I was like 13. I have no idea why I asked for that game for Christmas, and my grandma bought it for me, I think, but I really like 999. I've needed to play the sequels for a very long time, and also all these other crazy games that those developers have been making, like the AI, the Somnium Files. There's that new game coming out that was announced in the Direct. It's like Last Line Defense. That might be from the Danganronpa team. I don't know. There's a lot of crazy stuff coming from those guys, and I need to play more of them. All right, we are getting very close to the end now, but here we have a ton of Yokai Watch games. I'm missing one, and it is one of the most expensive 3DS games that I don't have, so I need to do that because it's a Nintendo published game. But starting off, we have WarioWare Gold. Yeah, I didn't realize that was in the stack, but sorry, WarioWare Gold, you're not a Yokai Watch game, but you are very good. Very, very good WarioWare game. But then we have Yokai Watch 1, Yokai Watch 2 Bony Spirits, Yokai Watch 2 Fleshy Souls, Yokai Watch 2 Psychic Specters, Yokai Watch 3, and this is my most expensive 3DS game, and finally Yokai Watch Blasters White Dog Squad. I'm missing the Red Cat Core version of that game, so I still need to pick up that. Yokai Watch is a series I have complicated feelings about because I really want to like Yokai Watch, and I did a review of Yokai Watch 1, I think a year or two ago on the other channel, and like, I didn't love it, but the bones are there. The bones of me loving Yokai Watch are there, and I think once I get to 3, I probably will be like a Yokai Watch fan. I think I will enjoy that series. But Yokai Watch 1, I don't know. It was kind of boring, I gotta be honest. But I have all of them. I know I should realistically just skip the 3 and skip 2 entirely. I probably would not play Bony Spirits or Fleshy Souls. I probably would skip to Psychic Specters. But I know I've had comments of people saying like, yeah, just play Yokai Watch 3. I can't do that, man. I gotta understand the full story, you know? And then my final regular Nintendo 3DS game that's not an import is Yoshi's New Island. I accidentally bought a Canadian version, so I guess I need to swap this out because that does bug me. I guess I have OCD with that. This game is fine. It's a mid-platformer by Arzest. It's not as good as the DS game. It's obviously not as good as the SNES game, but it's fine. Now, I said that was the end of our regular 3DS games. However, we do have some imports, but also some new 3DS games. There were 4 new 3DS games released in North America physically, and I think that goes for everywhere else in the world. We have Fire Emblem Warriors. Still weird to me that this game even came out on the 3DS. We have Minecraft for new Nintendo 3DS. Rumbo Pocket Deluxe Edition, as well as the only game here that really matters, Xenoblade Chronicles 3D. This was not my first time playing Xenoblade. I had tried to play it a little bit on Wii back in the day. Then this 3DS version came out. I was like, I need to play Xenoblade. And I played it for maybe like 5 hours, and I was like, I don't like Xenoblade. And then I played Xenoblade 2 several years later. Love Xenoblade 2. And I was like, okay, I finally need to play it. And then they thankfully remade Xenoblade 1 for Switch. And that's why I finally truly played through Xenoblade Chronicles 1, but really cool that they put this on 3DS. I don't know if I would ever go back and play this just for like novelty's sake, but I think that might be kind of fun to go through and just kind of look at this 3DS version of this game that had really no business being on 3DS. And now finally we have our imported games. So starting off, I do have one European import, just a weird game, Kokoto Alien Brick Breaker. Has like a little squishy guy in there. I don't know why I bought this. I think it might have actually been $5. Also, these Japanese games here are like not really in order because I don't know Japanese. I could probably sort them a little bit better, but I don't really care. Starting off, we have Mario vs. Donkey Kong Tipping Stars. This is the actual physical copy of this game. Pretty cool that this got a physical release in Japan. It had like a little voucher there for you to redeem it on Wii U because Nintendo was trying cross-buy at the time. But yeah, Tipping Stars, once again, mid-series that people really kind of clown on. I like Mario vs. Donkey Kong. They're fun games. I showed my Nintendogs versions earlier. There actually was another version in Japan, Nintendogs plus Cats Shiba Inu and Friends, which is just kind of a weird thing they did, this green version of Nintendogs. I picked this up during PAX West a year or two ago, AKB48 plus me. This is like some pop idol game, but it's using Miis. I don't know, I thought it might be kind of funny to show in like a short, or maybe do a video and be like, why are Miis in all these random games that no one's ever heard of? This would be one of them for sure. Then we have a little stack of Dragon Ball games. Someone on Mercari was selling like a bundle of all 4 for like $30, I think, so I just went ahead and bought it. Dragon Ball Heroes Ultimate Mission, Dragon Ball Heroes Ultimate Mission 2, Ultimate Mission X, and in that bundle was just a Japanese copy of Dragon Ball Fusion. So obviously I have this in English, but it was a good deal, so I was like, you know what, I'll just go ahead and buy all 4 of these in one go. Then we have some imported Dragon Quest stuff that I bought recently because I got into Dragon Quest. I think a lot of these do have English fan patches, so if I ever wanted to play them, I could do that. In particular, one of them I do want to do that with. Starting off, though, we have Dragon Quest 11. This is the 3DS version, which is so cool to me that this game even released on 3DS. It's like this whole third version that we never got in America, which is sad to me. I wish they had actually just gone ahead and localized it. That would have been really awesome. Then we have Dragon Quest Monsters Joker 3. I've heard this is the best Dragon Quest Monsters game. I believe it based on what I've seen. It looks really cool. Then we have the remakes of Dragon Quest Monsters 1 and 2 from the Game Boy Color. So these are the ones I was talking about. Dragon Quest Monsters 3, I think, does have an English patch, so I could play that as well. But I think it'd be really cool to go through this because it's only like 15 hours, kind of just a short little Dragon Quest Monsters game to get me more into the series. And it's a remake of the first game. So obviously, you know, I always like expanding my history and going back to the roots of a series. So yeah, I wish they had localized these. That would have been really nice, but still cool that they released them at all. Then we have some anime stuff here. Here's a Toriko game. Can you believe they made a Toriko game? I can, I guess. I don't know. It's not that surprising, I suppose. I bought this one by mistake because I didn't realize there is a European version, but One Piece Unlimited Cruise SP. There is a European version. I would have waited to get that had I known, but yeah, that was just a little oopsie on my part. Snack World, this is the level 5 game that did get localized on Switch, but the 3DS version never did. Atelier Verona, we never got any of the Atelier games on 3DS in America. Honestly, this might be the only one, I'm not too sure, but this was like $8 on Mercari, and I was like, yeah, sure, why not? And then these last 3 were in a bundle on eBay. I was just like into weird 3DS imports at the time, and I was like, you know, I'm just gonna buy a couple, just kind of mess around with and see what they are. So I really don't know what these are. Here's some weird Kawaii game, BFM Battle for Money. I have no idea what's going on with this cover art. And then this weird like yokai plant game where you like look at bugs, but then these weird screaming dudes. I have no idea. There are some crazy games that come out of Japan. And then finally, for Japanese imports, I have a stack of Monster Hunter games here because I was going to do a video on Double Cross and how it has crossplay between the 3DS and Switch version. I never got around to doing that, so that was kind of a waste of money here. But we have 3G, Monster Hunter 4, Monster Hunter 4G, Monster Hunter Cross, and finally Monster Hunter Double Cross. Also, I like how they're in these black cases. I guess they do that for like maybe Sero C games in Japan. I'm not too sure. Very, very interesting though. Also, 2 random things I forgot to show. I do have the big box version of Stella Glow. I meant to show this. It just kind of avoided me. It was in a stack of, I have all these special editions stacked up over here. I just missed this one. This is one I've heard is really good. I want to play this one eventually. And then the final thing I have to show you all today is this. This is Pokemon Treadalab in only released in Japan. It's like this weird accessory you put on your 3DS XL, and you have these like little battle chips. It's an arcade game in Japan. I would love to do a video on this at some point eventually. I have some more of the chips I bought. Just a really weird Pokemon accessory that released only in Japan. I think you could like take your little Pokemon chips to the arcade machine and like kind of cross over and carry them around. Very cool idea. I wish we got stuff like that in America. It wouldn't last very long, but that'd be really cool. And that is going to do it for today's collection video. It's been fun looking at all my 3DS games for the first time in a while, because I think the last time I did a collection video was like, it might have been 2023, but I think it was 2022. So it's been quite a while since I did a collection update like this. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. What games do you think I should add to my 3DS collection? Do you think any of my takes are out of pocket, or do you agree with me on some of my oddball takes when it comes to the 3DS? I love the 3DS. I haven't been focused on it as much recently because I feel like I've played a lot of the stuff I really, really want to. Like I said, there's always random JRPGs and stuff that I want to get to eventually, but in terms of like the core staples, I do feel pretty content. There's some things I know I want to get, like Yoshi and Poochie's Woolly World, Kirby's Extra Epic Yarn. Project Cross Zone is one that I really want to get to eventually. I mean, I've heard those games are fantastic, but for the most part, I'm pretty content with where my 3DS collection is at. So yeah, definitely let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Tell me what games you have in your collection or what you've added to your collection recently. I love talking to other collectors just because we're all collector brain at the end of the day, and we just like seeing cool plastic stuff on our shelf and also playing the stuff. I'm not one of those hoarders that just like buys the stuff with no intent to play it. Even though I might have a lot of games in my collection I haven't played, I do have that glimmer of an idea of hopefully playing it one day, if that makes sense. But until next time, folks, if you enjoyed this collection video, I would appreciate you subscribing. This is the first video on the new collecting channel, so all the support really does matter. The watch time, the likes, the shares, I really do appreciate it. Subscribe here for more. I'll have videos pretty much every week. I might do 2 videos a week starting out here. We'll see how that goes. Follow me on my other channel. Follow me on Twitter. And until next time, folks, peace!